a massive shock to the condo sellers. I'll explain what I mean and then get into the latest home prices and insights for condos across the GTA for week ending June 11th, 2025. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, in the description below this video, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. If you're involved if you're active in the condo market, you're selling or buying, you're going to know what I'm talking about here. If you're kind of on the sidelines, just interested in what's going on in the condo real estate market, you may or may not be familiar with what I'm talking about. Specifically sellers, are being shocked with what they're experiencing. We see this in multiple buildings, but let me give you an example. There could be 10, excuse me, there could be 5 or 10 condos for sale in one building, all very similar, all priced 550 to 600,000, say. And they're priced appropriately versus or compared to the most recent sale. So their pricing kind of makes sense, and they're all kind of around the same price. The problem is the last sale happened 2 months ago or 3 months ago. And they just can't believe, with all these condos for sale, that nobody's buying. They can't believe that the most recent sale was months ago. But they're sitting there on the market. They're hoping the next buyer comes in, buys theirs. And then one of those other sellers drops their price by 50 or 60,000. Now, if the condo was $1 million plus, 1.5 million, dropping by 50 or 60,000 wouldn't be, in normal situations, wouldn't be considered a lot. But when you're at 550, 600,000, dropping by 50 or 60,000, that's significant. And so the sellers are like, look what this guy did. They were all hovering at the same price. Now one of them is so much lower. And part of the shock factor, it doesn't sell right away. Sellers at first were thinking, oh no, look what this guy did. They're so low. And then it doesn't sell. And sellers can't believe that it's not sold right away. But eventually it sells. This is happening every single day in the condo market right now. Eventually it sells, and sellers can't believe. They're shocked at what it actually sold for, because that's the new benchmark now for pricing in that building. And that is happening in multiple buildings across the GTA. On the other end of the pricing spectrum, we just saw a condo priced at $2.5 million. Now this is a new building, more of a luxury new building. $2.5 million, that's significant. I mean, I'm not going to get into the actual condo itself. It's a fairly large condo. But there were others for sale in that building. And when you kind of look at feature, size, price, they're all kind of priced comparative to each other when you look at things like cost per square footage and so forth. So they're all pretty much the same, 2 million, 2 million plus. That one that was priced at 2.5 that I'm speaking about sold for 1.8 million. They didn't even do a price adjustment. They didn't relist at a lower price, so all the other sellers could be shocked and think, oh, look at the price they're listed at. They just sold straight at a $700,000 difference from what they were listed at to what they sold at. They sold for 1.8. Can you imagine the shock factor that all the other units for sale in that building now have? That's the new price point. And this is happening in buildings all across the GTA. We recently purchased a condo. I didn't think we had a shot. I didn't think we had a shot at purchasing it at that price. We put in our offer, and the best I could hope for when I was discussing things with the listing agent was that we get a counter offer. They gave us a counter offer that was significantly lower than where we expected to be. And then they said, they were trying to negotiate more on price with us. And we said, no, this is all we're going to do. We came up just a little bit more, but way less than what we expected to pay. And we got the offer accepted. My client, the buyer, was shocked. I was shocked. Couldn't believe we were able to do that. And then the same thing's going to apply to all the other sellers in that building. They're going to see the new price. This is happening in multiple buildings across the city. It is not a once off or what a surprise. It's constantly happening. And if you're in the market, you're seeing this, whether you're a buyer or whether you're a seller. You're seeing this. And, part of me doing this show is to kind of pull back the curtain and let you understand what to expect by being on the market today. If you're a condo seller, expect to be shocked. Expect to be surprised. What made sense 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, may no longer make sense today because you have no control over what your competition, and there's many of them, many competitors for you out there. You can't control what they're going to do. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, at the end of this video, there'll be a link on the screen for you to check out this gorgeous corner unit condo in South Etobicoke. The link will be on the screen. Have a look. Here we go. We're going to be talking about condos across the GTA. Specifically, we're going to be focused on condos in Peel region, condos in York region, and condos in the city of Toronto. Now, usually, these are average sold prices going back for 3 months. Almost always, week in and week out, Toronto average sold prices are at the top, then then York region, then Peel region. For this 1 week, Toronto and York region are playing opposite day, and York region average sold price is a bit higher than the city of Toronto's. We're going to start off with the city of Toronto. For week ending June 11th, 182 condos were sold. These are condo apartments. We're not talking about condo townhouses in any of this data. So 182 condo apartments were sold. 16 of those sold at $1 million or more. 182, I'm always trying to point out trends to you to kind of let you know which way things are trending. I really can't. The trend for sales is kind of flat. 182 this week. Previous week was 182. 182 is actually at the top end of really not a lot of any kind of significance in sales volume. Average sold price, we have the opposite. It's kind of easier to spot a trend because it's pretty clear what's happening. So for weekend in June 11th, average sold price is 672. That's for all condos sold in the city of Toronto. Now, if we go back a bit, from March to the end of April, approximately the beginning of May, average sold price looked like it maybe was trending up a bit. But since the beginning of May, middle of May, average sold price, it's pretty clear, has been trending down. Compared to last year, 672 is 8% lower year over year. The median price of $600,000 is 6% lower. Now the dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. It's just another way of looking at and trying to spot a trend. And if we look at average price earlier on, I've got 3 months on the board here. Earlier on, it's pretty clear average sold price was trending up, but it's also pretty clear since the beginning of May, average sold price is trending down. Median price, however, is a bit more flat. Maybe was trending down a little bit, but since the beginning of May, pretty flat is the median price. 182 were sold, 44 of those, so 24% sold at list price or more. 941 were listed. So listings are really, still significantly high. 6,452 are active condo listings. That's how many condos are available for sale as of week ending June 11th. Active listings is increasing. And when we look at how many units have sold versus how many are available for sale, it's less than 3% actually sold that week. More specifically, 2.8% of all condos available for sale during this past week actually sold. Only 2.8%. That's a very, very low number. And months of inventory sitting at 8.1 months of inventory. And that's for the whole city, but let's look at the numbers slightly different. Let's break the city down into 9 different sections. And what I want to focus on is 2 things. One, we could say months of inventory for the city we're saying is 8.1. And when you look at the months of inventory for the different areas, 8.5, Scarborough 6.9, East York Riverdale 7.7, Etobicoke 7.2. There's not a lot of variances from the 8.1. I mean, we could have one section at 1 month of inventory, another one at 15 months of inventory. Those two will average out to 8 months of inventory, for example. We're not seeing that spread. Most areas are not that far off. The delta is not that much from the 8.1. But look at active listings. How many properties are actually available for sale? Scarborough, 23 sold, but there's 685 to choose from. Uptown here, Willowdale, Bayview Village area, 26 sold, but there's 819 to choose from. Etobicoke, 23 sold. That's it, just 23. But there's 721 to choose from. In downtown, 53 sold. But there's almost 2,300 to choose from. That's the story of condos that is affecting the whole market. The volume of condos sitting there unsold. That's really what sellers and buyers are dealing with out there. But that's all condos. Let's look at it from a different perspective. Let's look at 1-bedroom condos versus 2-bedroom condos. Now, I should say for the 1-bedroom and for the 2 bedrooms, the data includes 1-bedroom and also 1-bedroom plus den is part of the 1-bedroom data. The same thing for the 2-bedroom. And the 2-bedroom plus den is all part of the 2-bedroom data. For week ending June 11th, these are the 1-bedroom condo apartments. 82 were sold. It's difficult to spot a sales trend. So let me just say sales are pretty flat for that. $561,000 is the average sold price of a 1-bedroom condo. I would say average sold price, if we're going back, say, to the beginning of, well, I have here since the beginning of the year, average sold price is only slightly trending down. So it hasn't really moved that much. Compared to last year, 561 is 9% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. And if you look back, that's kind of average. We've got 5% lower, 8% lower, 9% lower, 10, 13. So 8 to 10% kind of seems the norm regarding price this year versus last year for a one-bedroom condo. Let's look at the two-bedroom condos. 81 were sold. It's not a big difference versus the one-bedroom. 81 were sold, but likewise to the one-bedroom, it's difficult to spot a trend. Sales haven't really trended up or down one way or the other. Average sold price setting at $759. Now the last couple of weeks I've kind of circled and have a question mark there. I'm not sure which way these prices are going now, because prior to the last couple of weeks, with confidence, I would have said, hey, two-bedroom condos, two-bedroom plus den, average sold price seems to be trending up. And you would look at the chart and go, hey, Santo, you're right. It's pretty clear. I'm not sure what's happening now. We need a bit more time to let you know. Compared to last year, though, 759,000 is 10% lower than where we were this time a year ago. In the last couple of weeks, we're significantly off in percentage versus a year ago. But prior to the last couple of weeks, we were 1 or 2 or 3% off the price that we were a year ago. So it's only the last couple of weeks that things kind of change, and lots of sellers are pretty shocked about that. Let's compare side by side one bedroom versus two bedrooms. You can see here the blue, that's two beds. The orange, that's one bed. Not a big difference in sales on a weekly basis. Average sold price, $561 for the one bed, $759 for the two bed. It's $198,000. So let's say a $200,000 price difference between one bed and two bed. That's significant. Months of inventory for the one bed is 8.3. Months of inventory for the two bed condos is 7.9. Not a big difference either. Here's York Region condos. For week ending June 11th, 48 condos were sold across York Region. Sales for the last few weeks seems to be climbing. So 48 were sold. 3 of those sold at $1 million or more. Average sold price jumped up this week to $689,000. Now prior to this week, I would have said average sale prices are trending down. They still may be. This could be a blip. I'm not sure even how to say that anymore, but it could be a once off, and we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. But overall, average sold prices were trending down, but this 1 week so far, it's jumped up a bit. Compared to last year, 689 is 1% lower. Prior to that, we were hovering on, I would say, 10% lower on average every single week. Median price of $639 is 7% lower. And again, when I look at the dotted line for average and medium, yes, prices were trending down, but this 1 week, they're not. They're up for this 1 week. 48 were sold, 6 of those, so 13% sold at list price or more. 196 were listed. That's a lot. We have our biggest week, 214, but then we have lots of 175, 180, 176, 187. So 196 is a significant week of condo listings. So listings are up. Active listings is climbing. There's 1,180 available condos for sale across York Region. And months of inventory down a little bit. We're now at 5.7 months of inventory. Here's Peel Region. 23 condos were sold. Sales are way down. No condos sold at $1 million or more. Previously, sales looked like they were starting to trend up a bit, just slightly, but then we hit 34 twice, and now we're down to 23. Average sold price has come way down to $519. That's not a lot. When we look at the year, and I'm going back here to June 12th, 519 is amongst the lowest average sold price we've seen across Peel Region. Overall, average sold prices are trending down in Peel Region for condos. 519 is 14% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price of 510 is 15% lower. Dotted line, the 4-week moving average, shows that average price and median price slightly are trending downwards. 23 were sold, 2 sold at list price or more. 166 were listed. And if you look at the listings, the orange this year, 166 is significant. 171, 175, 183 listings are way up there. Active listings are climbing to now 1,175. Think about that, 1,175. And if I go back, only 23 sold. That's it. And months of inventory shot way up there to 11.8. For a while, we were hovering in the high 7s to the low 8s. Now it jumped up because sales were so low this 1 week to 11.8 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary. All City of Toronto sitting at 8.1. The 1 beds sitting at 8.3 months of inventory. The 2 beds sitting at 7.9 months of inventory. York region 5.7, Peel region 11.8. No matter how you slice it, very much a buyer's market when it comes to condos. Some more of a buyer's market, more significant, more predominantly a buyer's market. Depending on which building, you may get into more of a balanced market, but a buyer's market is probably what you're going to experience in most condo situations. Now check out the awesome condo we have in South Etobicoke. It's a corner unit. It's beautiful. Check it out.